Hey, I mean, okay. I'm not sure if just a stream reset did it, or this is going to change, but it looks like we're good. I also just dropped how many frames I'm sending from 6,000 exactly kilobits to 55. But maybe that was enough, or just resetting the stream was enough. So now we're instant casting. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about what I had. This is for more of any VOD watchers. But so far I had created after my fiasco of last night's attempts, I went ahead and made a theoretical single target with Keeper that Grows and a Mythic Plus Lunar spec, since it really does feel like we are kind of still going for that route right now. But I guess we'll just go ahead and we'll just restart. A quick thing just to show off like how many points you get total, because you can kind of see, get a look at what you've got going on right here. But let's call that test tree. And we'll just go ahead and clear all. Obviously, hero tree gets by itself, so it's unaffected. But as you can see here, you get 34 points in each side, so a good hardy amount. Though, realistically, you have 34 over on the left side, 30 on the right side, because your 3 your Apex takes a total of 4. Which, honestly, probably wouldn't hurt to make a little bit of flair, because more times than not, it's like I'm filling out this tree over here, and I'm like, wait, I'm getting a lot of awesome stuff down here in the bottom, here, there. It's like, oh yeah, Apex. It's not really showing off. But yeah, then, you know, overall, it's just a matter of just filling out what you kind of need. And the good news is, at the very least, they have created. I showed off my last the thing here. They finally added some new trees for the Elun's Chosen over here. So on the final corridor here, you have Star Cascade. Gaining astral power with Wrath or Starfire has a 40% chance to launch a Star Surge at 70% effectiveness. Free spell casting. It's it's effectively a in a similar sense a Goldrinn. Penumbral Swell. Lunar Eclipse increases arcane damage by an additional 3%. And Basked in Moonlight. Star Surge deals increased damage by 10%. Starfall increased by 10%. So, you know, nothing too fancy, but nothing to really nothing to really truly worry about. Head back into that. I did have to do a little bit to kind of get a fit around of my picks. I did have to get some macros going for all that stuff, like, ignore that. Like trees over here on currently on 0, but I have it targeted with my mouse. I got a regrowth there as well. But the main thing here is I was like, technically you could remove Starfire from your bars, like for your single target Wrath, because all it does is remove itself, you know, so you don't technically would need to cast it. the only hesitation I have with removing Starfire, besides the fact that it ruins the whole shebang, is the fact that we just naturally get part of the moon can form there. While in this form, single target attacks against you have a 50% chance to make your next Starfire instant. So, in a standard, like, no, there's no point in having it in a standard. You're not getting hit, like, at all. But you do get the instacast every now and then, like, especially when I was like out in the open world, getting to level 90. So it's like, it's there, it's useful, but it's got to make sure you always, right after you get a Wrath in, so you get your proper Eclipse, or if you do hit Starfire, Incarn to really just get it going. But let's say, when I picked my my lunar trees, my lunar spec, no trees, because, I don't need them taunting as much as I'd like trees. Wrath off to the side, and I guess technically, again, sorry, need to be in moon conform. Lunar spec, I probably could get rid of Wrath. Like, I probably have no reason to use Wrath. There's nothing saying that I need to use Wrath. But I just replaced trees in my bar with Fury. I did do some testing with New Moon, but I guess I like the moons. I do. But it is kind of a interrupt on the flow that you're going on. And I guess my only current justification for it is the fact that Fury of a Loon does 12,000 damage over 8 seconds right now in my current build. While Full Moon, when I read it, dealt like 14,000 damage. And no, if you take Radiant Moonlight, it makes a second Full Moon. And, well, yeah, it does make do more damage. But Fury of Loon, 50% increased damage. But yeah, that's the main thing, though, is the moons have a 20 second cast time. Sure, you get 2 full moons back to back with the Moonlight. So if we do a generous round up to 15k, 30k within, boom, boom. But Fury of the Loon, 45-second cooldown, 12k damage. And I think it also, I do have it's one of these. Yeah. Lunation here reduces the cooldown of Fury Loon by 2 seconds, and it does reduce the cooldown of the moons as well, but 2 seconds for Fury. So if I'm constantly casting, it's like, Fury of the Loon is like almost always there. It's instant cast. I can cast it. I can forget about it. I think it's still like a good choice to pick. I'd still love to get Convoke, and it could be something to play around with. But of course, Incarn is always with a good crit chance. That might be something I test today, is trying out Convoke. Again, I wish I had the damage meters to really make it shine, so I can do more proper testings. But the primary thing over here, and again, I could try the same thing over here with Keepers. Not a whole lot more extra changed on this end for single target. Nothing over here has really changed. You just have your Treants. I still have not chosen any of the quick casts because I don't feel like it's worth them, because both of them kind of effectively require you to not be in Eclipse when you should pretty much always be rolling Eclipses. And the only thing I'm really missing on my lunar thing is getting Harmony of the Heavens, like to get this 3 total thing here. Total Eclipse I just really don't care about. But yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and just do running some tests here. Are still instant? Yep, still instant cast. So yeah, I mean, start off, make sure you're in your Eclipse, Treants, Standard Eclipse. With the buff trackers, I can check and see how long I'm in Eclipse. And at least, maybe recently changed, but they now show your current status of your debuffs on your current target. Because if I were to switch to this guy, you know, it does update based on what they are. Yeah. Back into Eclipse. Let's just go ahead and just roll Treants again. I'm also getting like the free Starfall Eclipse out. Another Eclipse. Let's go. A free Starfall cast every time I enter Eclipse because my Dryads. Honestly, it's like right now, especially in... Oh, Eclipse done? Incarn. Treants. Oh, Eclipse. Eclipse is already over? Eclipse. Standard Eclipse. Eclipse is over. Enter back into your Eclipse. Eclipse is over. Trees. Eclipse. Buffs. Buffs. Eclipse over. Incarn. Eclipse is over. Eclipse. I do have Sundered Filament. Meh. Alright, Eclipse is over. Rebuff. Incarn. Treants. Eclipse is over. Eclipse. So I'm gonna have a brief period here of no big. Eclipse is over. I'm holding on. Okay, back into Eclipse. I do notice that the little bars here glow red when they are running out. Trees. Incarn. just gaining boatloads of astral power, and I'm just like constantly casting Star Search. So it's quite up. It's there. It's for sure. It's there. But okay. I wanted to try to let Townsend cool down. It's barely in cooldown. I wish I could like quickly reset. So I want to. Okay. Gosh darn it. Allow me to change. I don't want to sit here and it's going to make me wait for the full 2 charges. Okay, it's not. Okay, now the real question is, how do I want to pursue placing you? Because I think that's going to be the big thing here is, it's a minute cooldown. It might just be one of those, I have to macro it. Because I'm kind of like, because it's getting kind of far down the bar list there. But you know, Convoke is buffed by Elun's guidance there, so that's always beneficial. Because I think I like having my eclipses right there, my 6 and 7. It's out of the way from normal use, so I just need to figure out a place or a way to, when I want to cast it. I wish it, you know, I wish I could, but I couldn't really align. I couldn't macro it with Force and Nature. I guess, you know, I'd have to pick a different button, and we'll just try it. Not macro. Keybind. Action bar. Button 8. Make number 5. All right. Let's spend my resources on an eclipse. Convoke. Spend resources. Eclipse. I think right now, especially with what I've got going on, there's a lot of just living around my bars here. But I'm not even, like, looking at the boss right now. Eyes on my Eclipse bar. Eyes on the debuffs. Convoke is ready. Eclipse over. Incarn. Looking at my resource bar here. Treants are ready. Eclipse. Eclipse again. Convoke is ready. I'm going to save that for my next Incarn here. So now I'm going to have like 10 seconds of nothing. Okay. So it is quite simple to rope Convoken. Again, it's going to be hard to really... until we get a proper working damage meter, I think it's going to be hard to really make a sell point on whether or not the... So, with the Loon's Guidance, Astral Power, my spells cost less. So, that just basically means that I am, as you kind of saw when I was during Incarn, I'm, like, pumping out Star Surges, like, non-stop. But Convoke, is just a great ability that I get, strong, a bunch of spells cast all the time. But again, without the ability to really see any inclusive numbers over a longer period of time, it's kind of hard to really make a choice. But let's go ahead and switch over to the... Excuse me. Thank you. So overall, the primary difference on the Mythic Plus that I've got right now is I have just, yeeted Star Surge out in the middle of nowhere because... in theory, especially with being a Mythic Plus, I ain't needing this. And the fact that I have so many other abilities that's like meteorites. Every time Starfall deals damage, a meteorite falls on a target and deals damage. Casting Starfall extends duration of my HOTS. Now I could have Starfall deals damage 100 times faster, but I think extending dot damage, because that basically means I don't have to cast these abilities as often. So that's always, super beneficial. Just like I said before, no treants. And I guess where I sacrificed unlike in single target right now, I decided to forego my Sundered Filament or Orbit Breaker to get the trio row. Again, I was like, I'd love to see how much damage the fairy dragons can do overall, and of course, Harmony of the Heavens. During Eclipse, the Starstone and Starfall increases my overall damage. During Eclipse, it does not, it's only during it, so as long as I can dump damage, it's always going to be beneficial. So as long as I'm always just rolling my damage, double crit, increase my crit up a bit. I need, at the current point, I need this to be fully maxed to even get to the tier row, since I'm not taking total Eclipse. Of course, shrooms, yada 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 yada. And there's zero need for me to take Stellar Amplification, because that only works with Star Surge. That's why I've got Meteorites. I don't need Goldrin because, again, Star Surge. And then I'm currently running Fury. Overall, nothing like on this side has really changed too much. There's like this Circle of Heavens, which increases the amount of damage ice do. Moon Conform, area damage dealt, damage increased. All that, all that fun jazz. But all right, I think we'll go ahead and let's just start rolling. And here I just kind of alternate between Starfire and Wrath. And now, like, after all this time, now I've got to reset my dots. There's still definitely a bug where it's saying that I can cast a spell and I actually can't. But Mythic Plus is a very simple combat loop, at the very least. And now I'm stuck in that, after this time, I'm now stuck in my Eclipse star state. And I'm in Eclipse star state yet again. And if we were to change this into, say, new moon, suddenly now I have, like, my big complaint is the fact that let's get set up. I now have to kind of weave it in. But I guess once I spend it, I can kind of just refresh my dots. I guess theoretically, in a nutshell, the moons could be really useful for out of eclipse state. Like, I could probably squeeze in like the smaller spells in like when I'm not in eclipse, and it buys a little bit of time. And while I'm in eclipse, full focus on well, really, it's like in eclipse I recharge my spells, then use this to restock in eclipse and just kind of unload. Full moon. So now I'm going to be out of like eclipse timer right now, so I can recharge, and then immediately enough time to get for some eclipse to activate. So now I have a charge of moon. I'm out of eclipse. I don't have any eclipses yet, so full moon, spend, full moon, incarn. Refresh dots. Let's get a half moon in there. Okay, I think that's good. So let's see right now. So yeah, full moon does 15k. So I did kind of rope in pretty well the moons, and it does with the thing. It does refresh pretty resiliently and pretty good. I definitely think the moons could definitely be useful during the off eclipse, as you know, lunar, Starfire and lunar do work as well. I'm still definitely questionable whether Astral would fall under the direct buffs of that. But I definitely think with what I just did there could definitely be a play for moons during your out of eclipse. But I think the big selling point is it's going to be really dependent per boss. I think it is, because the best part about Fury is the fact that it's an instant cast. I cast it, I can forget it, and it's just going to do its job. Moons, I have to be, I have to be rooted, especially for a full moon. Like, I have to be in a position where I can sit there and I can cast it just like everything else. So it kind of puts me in that awkward state where I have two potentially semi-longer casting spells, where full moon takes almost 3 whole seconds to cast, while Starfire is 2 seconds. Yeah, and even Elune's Challenge or Nature's Grace isn't going to help full moon because they only affect Wrath and Starfire. So I think, and we have to think as well in a Mythic Plus setting. So we're running Mythic Plus because, like, in a it's in a raid boss style, it could be different. But in a Mythic Plus style, where you cannot change talents halfway through, I could see Fury of Elune taking more precedent for its better cooldown management, the fact that it's instant cast, and in theory, it's like tanks are moving, tanks are going, you're moving, you're dodging stuff, like you're always doing something. Having Fury of Elune there to cast while moving with Starfall just kind of eases the burden a bit. But in the same case, in a different tune, a raid boss that you would focus more on the DPS side. DPS, which I guess a good example would semi be like the Demon Hunter in the last raid here, where it does best on targeting multiple targets, in which kind of this build works off of. But having there's a lot more opportunity for you to stand still and cast the moons in that fight, because unless you were there doing mechanics like I would be, you can kind of sit there and go full turret mode. So I'm thinking Mythic Plus Fury of Elune might be better, but in a more ad heavy fight but you're allowed to turret more, moons may be a better choice overall. And then in I guess I didn't check Convoke in that build, but I guess in theory it'd be the same thing as it's there, I cast it, I go, I do damage. It's kind of one of those freebie, hit it when you get it kind of deal, versus having the reducing the cooldown is always cool. Now let's see, I actually want the so 45, 19. So most of my buff only happens when I am in Incarn state. Eclipse state, standard, I'm at 30. Okay, so that makes sense. So the best that Elun's guidance gives me is a reduction in 10. Star Surge gets 21 with normal. And Incarn is 12. Yeah. There's definitely some thoughts here. It's like, if anything, it's like, I'm almost thinking Incarn might be a better overall choice for single target, because getting that especially when I cast Incarn, I'm over here getting a nearly 40 powered Star Surge down to almost 10. So I can within my Incarn state, I can cast effectively. Well, okay, let's be real. It's for the cost of 1 Star Surge normally out of Eclipse, I cast 3 in Incarn. I mean, even that is just like, from 36 down to 21 is already pretty good for standard Eclipse. So that's almost 2. So like, with Incarn, let's be real generous, round up to 4. 1 in Incarn, I get 4 casts for the cost of a standard non-Eclipse state. Why, thank you, Loco. But maybe Starfall, it benefits greatly as well. Like 45 down to 20. But you know, granted, Eclipse state, Incarn state is what it is. It's being even in a Eclipse state, I drop it down to 30. Let me try. Yeah, I need to try this. I'm thinking maybe Convoke could be better for the sake of Mythic Plus. Okay, let's get my bearings here. So I'm not going to cast my Celestial Alignments quite yet. Not that it matters as much, but... Okay, let's get buffed up. Eclipse state. Convoke. Let's get some moons in. Full moon, Incarn, or Celestial Alignment. Okay. Celestial Alignments, Convoke. I mean, Convoke definitely fills in. So far, I definitely think we're in a very unique state, Loco. We are, I want to say we are definitely in the better. I don't know how much you know. How much do you know about the new Boomkin? Do I need to go over like a full crash course, or do you kind of get do you know the general drift from like watching someone like Tettle and all that stuff? Oh yeah, I meant, do you know the changes, the current changes of Midnight Moonkin? I guess is the better terminology of like the main things that have changed for us in for Midnight is what I was getting at. Yeah, I definitely, and honestly, it's a shock, but I think it's in a. I do have a couple of videos on the YouTube side that I've made about it, where like one of the streams where I first did initial testing, all that stuff. But I think this is probably a better choice in allowing us to play Moonkin better. Because to be like, especially now the fact that you don't have to necessarily cast the opposite spell to get into an eclipse, because all I have to do here is, you know, currently it's in lunar, I cast Wrath, and as long as I never cast Starstrike again, I never have to not cast Starstrike unless I have, you know, the Boomkin thingy that lets me cast it for free. But in my testings there, you know, boy, you really could be on camera, but why aren't you trying to help me sell there, boy? Hat over there, just off camera. I think there's definitely the big thing is getting into a flow is the big thing. And I definitely think using the new cooldown trackers and buff bars has definitely helped keep me more in line with that kind of stuff. Because otherwise we have like very little ways of knowing when we've got what going on. So let me kind of just, so I'm in my Keeper of the Grove. I still think Keeper is more targeted towards single target, and Lunar is more towards like your Mythic Plus multi-targeting stuff. That I still believe that is the case, very much so. Otherwise, you know, it is kind of what it is. But just kind of, I'll kind of talk how I'm going. I'll just kind of go through what I'm going. So let's just go ahead and start. And I'm entering Eclipse, Treants, Convoke, and Star Search spam. Eclipse is running out. Incarn. Now, you could have started with Incarn, but, you know, it's just testing purposes. Now, keeping a look at my thing, so Eclipse has run out. Enter back into Eclipse. Treants are ready. Treants, go. Refresh cooldown. Debuff. Spam. Eclipse is running out. Eclipse again. Convoke. Debuff is running out on target. Refresh. Eclipse is running out. Eclipse button. And I definitely saw some Celestial Alignments, Treants. And we're getting to that point here shortly, where if you are rolling like Eclipse, so out Eclipse, enter Eclipse, you will get to a point where you start hitting a Eclipse drought, which it's coming up here. So eclipse ends in 4. Current eclipse thing is on 10-second. Eclipse is out. Celestial alignment. So I'm out of eclipse, entering eclipse, and now I have 20 seconds on normal eclipse, 50 seconds on my next charge of celestial alignment. So now eclipse is done, and now I have 10 seconds of I'm not in an eclipse. Back in, okay, eclipse charge. I'm back in eclipse. Eclipse is done. Now I have 13 seconds on both cooldowns of not being in an eclipse. So I guess that's probably the good comparative there, where our opening and early mid game, if we are allowed to like plant our talons and turret, we can just be like roll, we over here rolling these eclipses over and over and over and over and over again, jumping between like, okay, solar eclipse, celestial alignment, or incarn, solar eclipse, kind of bounce them between each other to try to prolong keeping in the eclipse state, which, as forewarning, as I have tested before, you can cast your eclipse cooldown. You cannot cast it again if you're in an eclipse, but you can cast celestial alignment and override it. So that's definitely one of those things where you want to make sure you're not like accidentally double tapping and like burning your charges, because otherwise, why on earth are you why are you not taking Whirling Stars over Orbital Strike? I mean, Stellar Flare is cool and all, but Whirling Stars. Let me try this again. I want to try with yeah, I think especially since it might be one of those things where especially you can only customize it, especially in Keeper of the Grove, where you can still make them, they no longer taunt is the main thing. Because I could effectively see this being I don't tank at all, so I don't know how Treant taunting would affect them targeting you, but it's one of the reasons why I don't pick Force of Nature in Astral Spec and Lunar, Lunar side, is because they taunt. And I don't want to be that person that draws tank aggro away. Otherwise, I would absolutely be taking Force of Nature in Elun's Chosen, because they just it's free damage. They cast dots out. This is one of those things. So what I'm kind of getting at here is the possibility of, and I guess you can't cast Treants in tank spec anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But if the Treants are casted out in an area, they draw aggro, and then it's pulled to you, is kind of where I'm getting at. So unless they fundamentally changed that, then it's like I can kind of get it. But the other good thing is kind of over here, like in Lunar, you're always casting Starfall. In Keeper, you're never casting Starfall. But we are graced with the opportunity that our Sylvian Beckoning hero tree here, a new thing for Midnight, when entering an Eclipse, you summon a Dryad to assist you for 8 seconds, casting Star Surge and Starfall. So, even in our most basic of single target builds, we are graced with at least, a Starfall for at least just a little bit. Okay, I changed to Incarn with Incarn and with Elun's Guidance down here. While in Incarn state, Star Surge is reduced by a further 10. So based on my, some quick numbering, you just, Gatling gun out Star Surges. You're casting Star Surge more than you're casting, like, Wrath, effectively. Is the reduce thing, like, for the first cast? Why is it changing after, like... It goes from 21... And now it's back to 36. There's nothing saying that my things should not be... One... Unless I'm reading something wrong. Or I'm not understanding the generalized mechanic here. But over here, Rattle of Stars reduces the cost by 10%. Should be 0 effect. Honestly, and to answer your question there, Loco, I think we're in a good spot. I think, and, I can't really make a judgment based on, like, doing a patchwork here, patchwork style, just standing here and turreting. Because, let's be fair, in a raid, you're going to be moving. You're going to be moving. We are going to be effectively worthless by only be able to cast our simple stuff or Force of Nature, stuff like that. But to be able to kind of have Eclipse when you need it, and also, let's be fair, that small bit of drought that we get of, like, the Eclipse state after, like, a minute and a half in, after all those castings, having to move around during a boss fight probably isn't the worst thing, because it allows our things to recharge. I definitely think this is probably a better state for Boomkin than we have been. Probably since... I'd say Legion. Because Legion and maybe BFA. Legion for sure. I think was because Legion is Legion when we got our astral bar, and I got rid of the whole bouncing bar thing. And BFA. How did I stream? I streamed BFA. I should have BFA videos. Let me hold on. Checking my own Warcraft history channel. My let's see. Sepulchre, Sanctum Nether, Nyalotha. That is BFA. So let's see here. What am I looking at in my BFA?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So it's what am I looking at here? What? Okay, I hit Incarn. Yeah, I don't actually technically I haven't bought Midnight yet, and you know, I've got till at least December, so I can get the housing update. I'm just trying to see here. Let's see. Let me pull it up. And I do have the vid, like I'm watching my own video from the past. I'm just trying to re-see what I've done. Okay, so let's see. I'm not, or is it that I'm just empowered? I don't remember how BFA played anymore.
5.
It looks like
3, 2, 1.
Was BFA Warcraft like Boomkin a I think it must be. I build up with Wrath and Starfire equally, and then I use Star Surge as both a damage, and it currently empowers both Wrath and Starfire. Yeah, I mean that's what it's looking like. Man, is that how it was? Huh. Hold on. Battle for Dazara lore.
5.
Yeah, I think. Wow, that's how it was. BFA was you cast Wrath and Starfire to gain charge, and then you expend it on Star Strike. You get then buffs of to buff Wrath and Starfire. Honestly, it's not a bad idea. But I think it was Shadowlands. Let me pull up my Sanctum of Domination.
3, 2,
I'm healing that one. Why am I?
5.
Yeah, and then Shadowlands brought the
4, 3,
current Eclipse
2,
changes.
1.
Where I have to double cast.
3, 2, 1.
And yeah, let me just quickly go back to Legion and see my Legion, how that's played out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Scorpion. So casting moons.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Beware.
Yep. So yeah, even Legion,
3,
it was cast Star Surge to empower the other two spells. Huh. Man. It's so surprising that the stuff you've forgotten on how the game played. So, but yeah, I think this is in a better state for sure than the last two expansions. I think we definitely have some flow, and I think that's something we've been needing for a while because we don't have to be interrupted by casting unoptimal spells all the time. So the only times here, and the only reason why I have Starfire on my bar still in like my single target is the fact that you get the free cast every now and then if you get hit. But that's also the reason why in my Mythic Plus here, I have removed Wrath off my bars because there is no reason for me to have Wrath on my bars. So yeah, there's still I can't make any other further like talent choice judgments until we get the built-in damage meter that exists but is not active right now. So we can only I can only make assumptions, and even then it's like there's still some stuff it's like without the damage meters it's like it's hard to tell when certain stuff procs. So like a prime example here is the Orbit Breaker, where every 30th shooting star, a full moon drops down. Well, you don't see the full moon. You know, you can hear the crash, but you don't see the moon fall down, so it's kind of hard to really tell when it falls. Because shooting stars happen whenever, the random chance that they fall down. And every time you hit Eclipse, then, you over here, you have Solstice that makes Eclipse happen. That's what I'm possibly thinking. But I think we may, if the damage meter is good and it will track that better, it'd be a good way of, like, testing how often it procs, how much damage it procs. Because that's kind of the main limiting factor, because that's why I have that node picked in my single target. But right now, I have the Sundered Filament. Because, every other Eclipse, a Fear of a Loon at 25% effectiveness follows your target for 8 seconds. And as you've seen, theoretically, you are rolling Eclipses. So you're always having that Fear of a Loon, like, dropping down here and there. But at the same time, on the same, instance with Orbit Breaker, Solstice makes it so that shooting stars fall 200% more often. And in the same, sense, you are rolling eclipses, so you're always, getting that 6 seconds every now and then. It's kind of hard, so it's like, okay, how often and how much damage could either of those two do? And without working damage meters, it's going to be really hard to really fine-tune that kind of logic. And, theoretically, I think I did try to test it, but visually it didn't seem to have as much of an effect. But, like, Touch of the Cosmos into Hail of Stars casting a free Star Surge or Starfall grants Solstice for 3 seconds. There's some synergy there, but when I could get that free 3 seconds, it didn't really seem like it has much of an effect as, like, Solstice happening. It's, like, naturally. And it's like, Well, it's one of those things. Hey, and thanks for following. But, yeah. That is currently, though, what I'm kind of going off of. I think we're in a good spot. I'm not, And I definitely don't like to follow any of the like. I do take some like here and there like choice matters from other like more the more popular the class writers and all that stuff, but I don't necessarily follow them to I don't religiously follow titles like natures or anything like that. I'm not even part of the Druid like Discord. Let's be fair. There's a lot of stuff that I do is just like on the fly. Everything that I've seen, everything that you've seen here today, I've not looked up anything on like I've done no other like outside look on like, oh, these are all looking optimal. I've just looked this up myself. Like, and one of the choices I've made here is there's a new talent here, Total Eclipse. Entering any eclipse has a 10% up to 20%. It's a two charge rank node to grant benefits of both lunar and solar. So a quasi, celestial alignment, but at the same time, you don't get the buffs. But there's no benefit of that. Like, cool, I enter in both forms, but both playstyles for both, Keeper or Lunar don't benefit from the other side. Like, case an example for here in my single target solar spec, it's like, cool, but I have no point in casting Starfire unless I absolutely have to. And in the lunar side, it's like, yeah, why would I want to cast Wrath? It's like, if you're in the lunar side, like you're there for like the Mythic Plus hitting all the damage stuff. So therefore, I want to be casting Starfire as much as possible. So it's like that's why I've kind of written off Total Eclipse as like a I don't care. Also, I see that I try to delay as much as I can, but I see an ads playing, so I'm not sure how much you're seeing right now. Taco. Okay, cool. So I see my little thing there, ad break in progress. So, I don't know what to believe on that stuff. But on the other side here, it's like another thing I've done some testing on is this choice node over here. So where we have Nature's Grace, which used to be standard, and then there's an Ellune's Challenge. And below it, Umbra Embrace, which, cool, that'd be great to have, but it's locked behind these two. Nature's Grace, when Eclipse ends, or when you enter combat, enter a dream state, reducing the cast time of your next two Starfires or Wraths by 40%. Cool. I mean, it's not the worst thing. It definitely would be probably the better choice. But then you have Ellune's Challenge. When you exit Eclipse with less than 40 astral power, Wrath and Starfire's cast times are reduced by 25% for 15 seconds or until you enter an Eclipse. And let me just say, during my testing, it's like I ran both of these. So it's like, with Ellune's Challenge, you have 15 seconds if you have less than 40 astral power, which, I mean, with all the current talents and stuff, you get up to 140 here. So you definitely, you can get there, but you gotta think about it. But you get 15 seconds of free cast, like 25% reduced cast time. So it can be good. Versus the over here with like 2 casts with 40% reduced cast times. But then that led into the question that I came up with, especially for like the Ellune's Challenge. You gotta be out of Eclipse. Like, Ellune's Challenge could be good in that mid game, where you don't have a lot of stuff going on and you're still kind of rolling your spells and just waiting for your next eclipse or celestial alignment to pop up. But when you're not doing that, it's like, except in that rare circumstance, it leads you kind of questions like, why, if I'm not struggling to get into an eclipse, why would I not want to be in an eclipse? Is the main thing. Because as you kind of saw me there, it's like, I just need to be in eclipse all the time for all my damage. And that leads into, okay, well, why don't you choose Nature's Grace? Which, cool, that works. Except, and I've put in a report about this, it's actually currently bugged with one of our Apex talents. The first one. They're all called Ascending Eclipses. They should really change that. But, so let's just reiterate. Nature's Grace. When you Eclipse ends, let's forget the entering combat. Eclipse ends. You get 2 casts of Starfire Wrath by 40%. Our first Apex talent here, activating an Eclipse, makes the next Wrath or Starfire instant. The first 3 Star Surges or Starfalls you cast during Eclipse deals increased damage. That Ascending Eclipse, when you enter combat, consumes a Nature's Grace. If you are, if you re-enter Eclipse and keep the Nature's Grace, both charges, because you don't lose the charges when you enter Eclipse, but you do consume one of your fast charges with this first Ascending Eclipse. So then all you do is you have 40% reduced cast time. I feel like that shouldn't happen. And, I mean, sure, the solution to that is, well, you get your 2 free casts, your 2 easier casts outside of it. But again, that goes into the point of, if I don't have to be not in an eclipse, why am I trying to force myself and not, remember to myself that I need to be in an eclipse? And this is just me thinking. I think it's like, ooh, man, it's just a real thought provoker. But even then, I choose a Nature's Grace just to get Umbral's Embrace. For Wrath Starfire has a 20% chance to cause your next Wrath or Starfire to cast during an eclipse to become astral and deal 75% additional damage. I mean, 75%, 20% chance to deal 75% more damage. But I've got to consume 2 talent slots to get to that. When by this point, it's like, okay, well, or I could have Sunder Filament, or Orbit Breaker, we'll see. Harmony of the Heavens, Star Surge Starfall increases your current damage up to 6% during an eclipse. It does not carry over from eclipse to eclipse. You gotta redid it. Denizens of the Drain, having Fey Dragons. Fey Dragons are always good. Elun's Guidance, always good. Power of Goldrin, it's like, there's so many other good talents to take. Why do I gotta spend 2 of my precious points just to get Umbral's Embrace? Kind of deal. It's kind of how I'm overall my justification here. For 2 abilities that are good, but so questionable at times. Like, Nature's maybe bugged, and Challenge is like, why do I want to be out of Eclipse? And heaven forbid you hit that drought period that you can't enter Eclipse, but you had more than 40 astral power and you hit it and you're above. It's like immediate loss. I mean, it's just kind of, it's such a situational choice node. And you've got to balance those things just to get, your chance at Umbral Embrace. For 2 points. 2 points that I could spend on anything else. that can better benefit me. But that's my rambling. For what the, the experts think, we'll leave that with them. I'm gonna take a drink. That's a lot of talking. But what do I know? I'm just some guy that's played Boomkin since 2013, from 2012. Yeah, I'm just some guy that's only played Boomkin since 2012. What's my word? Just because I'm not on the Wowhead writing guides. Not that I want to. But yeah, again, all this is currently in a rough, nutshell. Like, when I was out there in the overworld, doing world quest, doing the quests. Like, let's go out in the field real quick.
Peace, friend.
Oh, yes, give me endgame. Not that it's like, tier. Let's see. It's not a whole big increase, but it's a couple points. Good. I need a different ring. Do we have and a staff? Wrists. Did they not give me a second ring? Oh, cloak. Missed a cloak. Or am I just not seeing ring? Game. Shoulders. Belts. I type in ring. And you give me, like, everything that's not a ring. Whatever, that's fine. Give me it back in the Void Storm. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just also warn you right now. I'm more of a variety streamer, so I'm playing this right now because, the Phase 4. I'm not the kind of person that, you can easily check my past content and all that stuff. I'm not always going to be playing Warcraft. And once the alpha's done, and it's like, I'm kind of waiting on the expansion to change, then I cannot guarantee my Warcraft playing for the next couple months. But by George, when when Midnight comes out, I'm going to be playing that a lot. And then, of course, I do raid with my my guild, so I'll probably be streaming that a lot as well when we do raids and dungeons and stuff like that. So by the way, slight spoiler on the final endgame zone, the Void Storm. But doing world content's definitely, a bit more different than just the there's the raid, by the way. than just sitting there being patchwork.
Too far away.
Accent? Just standard American. Yeah, the only downside I've seen is that we did lose a lot of our, survivability solo.
Do not have a target.
And I say that by we lost Rejuvenate, for example. And boy, did I love Rejuvenate. That 30% free heal. It's like... So yeah, the only things we really have on survivability is Barkskin, Regrowth. And if you were to choose any other healing, like, Rejuvenation and all that stuff. But, and even, Nature's Grace is missing. There's no Nature's Grace. What do you want me to do? Take Heart of the Wild? I've never taken Heart of the Wild. I think it's a stupid spell. Maybe, getting Forest Walk, that takes away a little bit of stuff there. Yep. Honestly, that's a real better contention is I'm over here doing outdoor content in my single target spec. It'd probably be smarter for me doing my being my Mythic Plus kit. And we'll change to Orbital Strike Cannon. I forgot I took Invoke. There is no loot. Give me my loot. There is no loot. Liar! A Demon Hunter. Avoid Demon Hunter. And I'm dead. No, I have not. I could go and try it out, but like, full honesty, I pretty much only play Boomkin. Again, like I said, like, I've, ever since I started playing back in 2012 at the end of Cataclysm, I have, only played Balanced Druid, minus the few times I was needed for, like, Resto Spec here and there. But I am not against, popping into it and seeing. That was even before I knew, like, I picked Balanced Druid because it sounded cool to me at the time. I didn't even know you turned into a chicken. It wasn't until I saw on my friend's computer that one of the guildmates was turned into a chicken. And I was like, oh, cool, what's that? Oh, that's a Balanced Druid form. It's like, what? That's awesome. True story. Yeah, no problem. I'd like to thank you for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it.
Come with an open mind.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I really need to get rid of some of this loot here.
New doorways have opened to us. Fate is ours to decide.
Okay. Cleaned up. But yeah, still can't teleport. Can't drag my teleport to the bars. What do you mean? Is my house just gone? How dare? They done took away my house. buddy? Yeah, okay. Is the is the music that good? All right, we good. I just want to ask, are we good? I should probably actually. Let's find some help for you. Let's get you some help. The done took away my house.
Room for all, friend.
Here searching through neighborhoods. I guess housing's down.
Together.
Tis a shame. Let's see. Class set. Nothing. Let's see, Warmonger, that looks to be like world gear or something. War mode. This is war gear. Torment's duality. Tear is the current target. So there's a two set for two-handers, or two swords. These two. So you apply, if you have the two set, you apply Void Tear up to 10 times for 20 seconds, and this one purifies Void Tears. Two rings. That bonus effects vary based on the player specialization. And then, yeah, my class set that is just, you know, not there yet. Let's see. Where to row materials? Looks to be probably crafted. I mean, bind when pick up doesn't say crafted. Everything that says during combat. Connect scribble strike to gain the upper hand. Every situation is different as your upper hand at the time. Healing tonics, poison daggers, and other magical contraband are all on the table. This one seems more like a rogue kind of thing. But it's interesting nonetheless. I definitely think our upcoming raids are definitely going to be interesting for sure. Bellaran, Child of Alar. You gotta admit, that's a cool effect there. A light infused bird, but then has a shadowy cloak, and then a Naru. And then the thing that Alira absorbed runs away. And then Chimeris. The monstrosity that is Chimeris. I mean, it's got it. Like, I do think it's definitely interesting when they do like multiple raids at the very start, because then it definitely does allow them to, I guess, cover more ground in a sense than like War Within. We started out with Naru Palace. You know, we only had the 3 raids. Sure, I'm not. This is by no means saying that Naru Palace was not good. And to be fair, a lot of the story was there. And then even in Dragonflight, you know, all the story led up to Vaulting Incarnates and all that stuff. I mean, 3 raids. It wasn't like, you know, Battle for Azeroth, at the very least, you know, shaked it up a bit. Where you started with the Uldir, full raid. Then we had our one in between here with the Restless Cabal and Umnat. Which, boy, was that hard. And then, you know, Battle for Dazar'alor, into Eternal Palace, into Ny'alotha. Or Battle of Dazar'alor, Crucible, into Eternal Palace, then Ny'alotha. Yeah, Legion, a halfway raid, Trial of Valor, 3 raids, but we don't count Warlords. And yeah, the last time that this happened was Pandaria. So so hopefully it's like one of those things where it's like, Chimeris is definitely should probably be hard in its own right. Since we'll be kind of jumping between raids. Because we have 1 in Dream Rift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the Void Spire, and 2 on March. 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 total bosses, not counting 4 world bosses. So, I mean, overall 9, and it kind of covers a lot of the, I guess, the estranged story. So you have something going on with the Harnier, with another Dream Rift boss. Void Spire, I'm guessing it probably kind of falls like, Void Spire probably happens first, and then it leads into March. Based on, I guess, my own assumptions that you fight Alira and her darkness. Then it must escape from her, probably. And it goes into March on Quel'Danas, where the Lura escapes her and is now... God, just everything's deadly. And the Dark Will's immense void beam instantly vaporizes any players. The talk clicks, the sunset, the candle burns. And so Beloron is we kill it, it goes into its egg, and then we have to get rid of the flame that rebirths the egg. Lore. I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. And then plus we have the variety of dungeons to go look into. Plus the season that Magisteris, these four, and then everything that comes back. Pit of Sauron. Why is Pit of Sauron a Mythic Plus dungeon? God. I mean, Algathar, it's what it is. Seat of the Triumphant. I barely remember that too much, because I didn't do that one too much myself. And Skyreach. But yeah, I think this has been a good showing for Balanced Druid for now. So I don't know the next time I do a stream for Alpha. It's gonna be one of those things. We'll see how things go, and if there's any major changes, then I may come back into it. But otherwise, I think this is all I've got for right now. So I'd like to thank y'all for watching. And for any of you VOD watchers that want to keep in the know-how, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time.